Greetings, and welcome back to the Grad podcast, and also welcome back to our educational playlist, Still Becoming Education, Pressure, and Purpose. This is a playlist that encusps everything that we are experiencing, even in our waking lives. It could be deciding how to budget, deciding education, deciding which path of education that we want to pursue. Certificate education, career education, 4-year degree education, all the way up to a PhD level, if that's your purpose. Here on this playlist, we're going to be talking about it. And welcome to the Ground and Bag podcast. I am your host, Aiysha. And if you have been looking and looking, now it's time to choose a house. Plant roots with us here on the Rooted with Aiysha. And please go ahead and subscribe, because our goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers. That's our goal. As well as our goal is to reach 2,000 subscribers and beyond, because the goal is not just about numbers. It's really about making sure that everyone knows that support and resources are free and can also be provided to you here on a platform that is non-judgmental, focuses on truth, value, respect, heritage, ancestry, and above all, faith. Because sadly, all of that is what we are lacking right now in our society. And oftentimes we are wondering, okay, how do I get back to how things were, where more communities really communed together, versus now we're now living in an individualistic society, which is real. So please make sure that you go ahead and subscribe once again, like, share, and comment, but also share, so that way the YouTube multiverse knows that you find value here above all else. And don't forget to listen to us on Spotify and all other podcast streaming platforms. The Grounded by Podcast, you can look us up there. And as new exclusive podcast episodes will be coming to you audibly, so that way you can listen to me on the go without having to look at my beautiful face. And most importantly, subscribe to us on Substack, the Rooted Productions, the Grad Bag Podcast, so that way you do not miss any of the latest conversations, podcasts, and updates on this platform. So last week we did our episode 5, talking about hustle culture, school versus hustle, the mental warfare, how to balance decisions of, do I want to be independent, or do I want to pursue education, versus having to decide to do both? Because for some, especially when you're wanting to do more things that's independent, it does take a lot of commitment and something is going to suffer. But that's going to lead us to talking about, can I work and capital A, capital N, and capital D, and go to school? The core element is balance, burnout, and real life. And the real life is, things are changing on the financial aid scheme unless you have a family, relative, or rich uncle that's going to give you money to go to school. Rich uncle meaning like related to you, or someone that's close to you in family, and they're willing to give you money so that we can better your life. So unless you have those opportunities, dog hair. I have 2 dogs. Oh my God, I knew it was there. Back to it. Unless you have those opportunities, financial aid, Grad Plus loans, Parent Plus loans, scholarships, these are all conversations that we eventually at some point are going to meet. And sadly enough, these are our options. And the unfortunate tale is that on a government level, these are resources that are being itemized and minimized. Itemized not for a good reason, and minimized for other reasons that are not for the betterment for the betterment of us. And the saddest thing is when schools are charging high tuition, that leaves you a high price ticket to actually pay back. And also, that does leave you with a lot of missed opportunities to tap into actual scholarships, because there are some online programs that have a lot of high competitive scholarship programs that could be very difficult to really tap in. But we're going to get into a lot of that, as well as scholarship resources that I will be sharing, because I did apply for scholarships even for my graduate degree, and some I would say I didn't get. Even donor scholarships I did apply. Thankfully, I was able to use financial aid in those resources to support. But my goal is to cap it off at my MSW. If it be the Lord's will and He wants me to go for my PhD, honorary baby. I am not going to get any more student loans if I don't need it. So that goes back to what we want out of life. If you desire to be a doctor or desire to be in another form of field that would require higher education beyond a graduate level, then that comes with the price tag, which is also a concern. So that's why it's important to really ask ourselves, can I work and go to school? Because for many of us, working is not off the table. I work full time and I go to school full time. So many cases and many scenarios, in a perfect world, maybe if I continued with a lot of social media stuff when it wasn't as influxed and overpopulated now, maybe I would have been able to just write a check for school. But I also had to make that decision that in my waking life, I saw gaps that needed to be filled, and I know that I needed to work. That was my main focus. And I said to myself, if my content is good enough, it can sustain my channel while I do my stuff. And my content was, and was able to sustain my channel while I worked and while I tried to really get more so I can support my family and contribute to my home, because that was my goal. So ultimately speaking, I would say for many of us that we have no choice. Even if we can do other things by nature, we're compelled to feel as if we have to step in some other ways. And sometimes it could be cultural, sometimes it could be situational, and sometimes it could be where I see a need. I know that I can do this, but I know I can do that. So I have to choose hustle culture or go to school and do other things. And at the time, I was doing my undergrad too. So, and you can't just survive off of stipends only. It does not fill in every single gap. And if you are on campus and you are able to tap into being a resident assistant and get some additional support, or if you can get some in-person scholarships and get endowments, then please tap into all of that. Tap into every single thing that you can tap into. And the most important thing that I would say that is also helpful is is making sure that you are also mentally able to handle that big burden, because burnout is real and balance is real. Because the worst thing is to try to excel at work, but then your schoolwork suffers. Your schoolwork suffers. So that brings us to our first question: is what does your weekly schedule look like right now? So for me, my weekly schedule, outside of adult stuff that I can't mention right now, outside of that, work, school, digital content creation, um, other methods of creativity that I'm really wanting to tap into and that I'm starting the process in doing that. And I'm also have been prioritizing my health more. But I'm not gonna say that sleep is not an area that I need to get better in by ways of the work that I have. I work in the evenings, so that doesn't help. So sometimes that can make me a little nocturnal, where during the day I'm more alert and then I get tired, and then at night I'm wide awake. But it all depends on what day, what month PMS is hitting hard, or PMS is not even is absent from the equation. So it all depends. So I would say my schedule changes frequently. But that's a question. That's a good question for you to ask yourself. Like, what does it consist of? Work, school, play, or does it consist of work, school, TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is that's in your routine? It could be sports. It could be classical skills. But what I would highly recommend is you being able to just take that moment to really do checks and balance. Same as accountants do, same as we do when we have to file taxes. We have to get our W-2s, get our 1098s. If we are independent contractors, get all of your receipts for your records. Every single element that you do, making sure that you have all of that. Because even on YouTube, YouTubers still have to pay taxes. They have to make sure that they are itemizing their work from home equipment and all of that. So I say all of this to say, knowing what's in your work schedule helps to save you time, but it also helps you to remember to be present and not just focusing on temporary or monetary things. So that is an important key factor. And another thing is, where are you overworking yourself? That's a mixed bag. Because we're living in a time now where gas prices are unpredictable, where government officials are unpredictable, and many of them need to retire. Government level resources are few far and in between. Um, it's a lot of information that we're getting, but it's also a lot of observations of the world in which we know it. And we're wondering, okay, is my degree still going to matter after all of this, these unnecessary happenings, or am I still going to be able to do what I need to do regardless of what's happening? So I would say that where we're overworking ourselves, it could be with school, it could be with work. I would say for me, it varies because at sometimes I do have to tell myself, okay, pause. Okay, pause. Even if it's with content creation. If I can do a bulk edit, I schedule my videos. Or if I can try to balance some things in some ways, if I can't post today, I'm going to post tomorrow, but I just need this day for myself. So I've had to learn how to balance those two obstacles, but I also had to learn how to find that delicate balance in between all of the mess and all of the nitty gritties, as they say. But what I would say, what really has helped me is finding that balance, but also I love what I do. That's what really helps. I love my job. I love where I feel and know that it's going to go into, but I'm also grateful that I'm almost done with my MSW. I'm in my final semester right now, and in a few weeks I'm going to be done officially. Please God. I can't wait. I'm going to be done officially. And then I will start the process of studying for my LMSW, which is my license, Master Social Workers licensure. I'll start studying for that in August because my life is transitioning right now. So I don't want to commit to studying and I fail because I didn't practice completely. I want to clear my mind and give myself that break to do so. So I would say overworking myself happens when I'm disorganized and when I try to do so much in one day. So I've had to organize my schedule and splitting things up. What I can't do today, I can do tomorrow. What I can't do this week, I'll do next week, God willing. So I've had to prioritize, but I also had to be okay with letting something go and prioritizing the most important thing. So that would be question number 2 that I answered. But question number 3 is, what system could make your life easier? What systems could make your life easier? Well, the government, hello. Um, the educational system, I would say, given that this is an educational series, then yes, the educational system and courses, especially community college being free. If you are a public servant, having your tuition being expunged after a certain time, as especially if you've been paying on it. And I would say the social welfare system, because it's one thing to say that there's not a lot of money or resources for these systems, but they're taking our taxpayers' dollars to do God only knows what in other countries, and we're not benefiting from it at all. We're not. So I would honestly say that a lot of systems could be a lot easier. But what I have been doing for myself is taking that time for myself spiritually and knowing that even if the systems don't change, I have to make that change for myself and making sure that I don't lose sight of my why, because oftentimes that can be very hard. You're focusing on the why, you're focusing on the what you don't have versus what you do have. And it's a matter of, okay, I can work, but can I go to school and be successful at both? I would say that both took a hit for me. And around that time, we got a dog during the pandemic, and then we got our second dog a year and 3 months after. So I would say balancing that and not being there often to really embrace all of the experiences of being a dog owner was the hardest part for me in balancing. And I'm not saying that I'm getting better at that, but I'm making even more efforts to really be a part of their routines even more. Not saying that I was absent completely, but I will admit that it wasn't as consistent as I would like. Because when you're working and also when certain jobs are more in high demand, that can be very difficult. So I've had to really, that was a sacrifice. But what I would say is two things to be right at the same time. You can work or take care of your dogs, but the dogs also have to eat. So there's also a sacrifice that's attached to it. It's almost like a parent when you know that you have to work, but your kids may not see you every single moment of the day. It's not like you're absentee. You have to provide. So I would say that also helped me to be a responsible individual too, and knowing that, hey, money does not grow on trees. You have to work, or you have to be purposeful in your steps to make sure that you're able to sustain yourself financially, but also be able to support your family at the same time if that is your goal. And if that's what you have to do in this moment. But what I would say, what helped me is that I also had to be mindful of not devaluing myself, because sometimes employers can take advantage of you. Not sometimes they can, and all the time they do, because in some ways, they see the desperation on you and they're like, okay, you're willing to do whatever. You're willing to do whatever. And that's what I would say. I was willing to be that gold standard employee, and that burned me out in my previous place of business. That was very toxic. And it burned me out to the point where I was on autopilot. I did the work, but I didn't feel it. I didn't even give myself a pat on the back after I did it. So I would say what can make your life easier is realizing when a system is broken, seeing what you can do on a human level to contribute to the revival of it. But as far as bringing down a system, that is where God comes in. And are you resting or just collapsing? I would say sometimes it could be a combination of both. Collapsing could be like you're just jumping on your bed, or collapsing meaning like you're crashing. So I would say it varies. There are moments when you may have a combination of both. So I say all of these to say these are questions to really ask yourself, because these questions are really more geared towards having an interpersonal discussion, because we are like autopilots sometimes, and we continue and continue and continue, but we never stop. We never wait a whole minute. And I think that's the hardest part, because we're so conditioned to be like, okay, I need to go, I need to go, I need to go, I need to go. But it's never a pause moment, it's never a stop moment. And that's the hardest part, because we are so used to being in the driver's seat. We're so used to being always on the go, always in the know. But I say all of this to say that my goal for this channel is to really offer a safe space, but also offer a place where we can really have conversations like this. Because for some of us, for me, I was blessed to have a mom that was open with her struggles, even when she was a nurse, even as a PhD student now, but also how she navigates and balances the changes of life, but also navigating the changes of her life professionally. Because when you're going by a routine day in and day out, that is a big transition to where you are now, a PhD student, but also navigating being an independent entrepreneur, and also supporting causes and a purpose that's bigger than her. So I would say that was my greatest example, but also I would say um being and giving myself that grace, because we never truly do all of the things right. But the most important thing in the that I would say is often gets overlooked is our efforts. That's often that gets overlooked, but often we overlook them too. So we're not going to put all the blame on other people. We also are our greatest hindrances, but we can also be our greatest roadblocks because we feel as if that we're the worst person on earth, that we're the worst, we're the worst, we're the worst. But oftentimes we're just living, making mistakes, learning as we go. But the most important thing is accountability, though. When you know, you know. When you don't know, you generally don't know. But when you know, you got to get it together because we have to get this systems, as we mentioned, back on track because it's our taxpayers' dollars, it's your student loans, that the money that you're paying back is going back somewhere. So we have got to make sure that we are being intentional, but we're also being very vibrant in how we handle each other during times like this, because it can be very hard and isolating. And the most important thing is knowing that you are not alone, even in moments like this. And this goes back to our hot seat question as we are starting, and as we can come to a conclusion, actually. The hot seat question is, do you believe you deserve rest while building your future? I'll leave that question to you. Please comment in the comments below, and let me know what you think. Do you believe you deserve rest while building your future? That is up to you. I will give you that right to respond. If you want to email your question in response to me, you can email me at askrootedwithaisha@gmail.com. Askrootedwithaisha@gmail.com. And I will also be posting, well, actually, it'll be listed in the description box, my email, as well as all of my social media platforms, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Rooted with Aiysha. And I'm so excited for more content to be delivered to you hot off the press on our educational series, Becoming, and most importantly, navigating through the pressures and purpose of life together. Because, ooh, child, we are literally near a lot of unknowns, and the most important thing is us being able to support ourselves through it. So, in closing, support does exist, y'all. It's difficult sometimes when you're in your moments, you're like, no, it doesn't. No, it does not. That can be very difficult. But even in these moments, the hardest of moments, I hope that you take whatever resonates with you from this video today, but also move gently with yourself today. We can try all our might to try to erase time, make things right, or try to make the best decision. But sometimes we make decisions, we take gambles, and the most important thing is how you recover from them. So I hope that that resonated with you as well. And I am your host, Aiysha Insa. And until next time, be kind to your mind, keep choosing yourself one moment at a time. And remember to subscribe because we are on the goal. We're on the hunt to reach 1,000 subscribers, as well as to hit 2,000 subscribers, which is our secondary goal. So we fail without a goal, but that will also mean that more family members who are planning routes with us and are able to embrace what we're resonating with, and also to add value to this platform too. So thank you all so much, and I'll see you all in another episode, and see you all next week, because Lord, we are literally nearing the end of June and July. Be kind to us because this summer heat is really brutal. So I'm just praying that we get a quick summer and a fast winter. Won't he do it? You all take care of yourselves. Bye now.